Hello all 12th Man viewers, my name is Hugo Thaxter and today is the beginning of a series where I will take on a lot of interesting topics in the world of football and look at them with a tactical perspective. The goal of these videos is to give you insights into tactics you see in motion while watching your favorite clubs. Feel free to let us know what you think the answer is to these questions and how you believe certain tactics could affect matches. At 12th Man, we know that there is more than one answer to a question, and we would love to hear your opinion, so please get in contact with us. Now let's kick off with today's topic, which is the Bruno effect a reality, or are there many other factors that are affecting the rise of Manchester United post-January? Now, of course, the Bruno effect is referring to the Portuguese superstar of late, Bruno Fernandes, who recently signed for Manchester United after a successful spell and time at Sporting Lisbon. Now, the answer to this question, shortly, is yes. The Bruno effect is very real, and this tactical analysis will explain exactly how Bruno really is the missing piece to the Manchester United puzzle. So before Bruno arrived, Manchester United were admittedly struggling in the Barclays Premier League. For all Manchester United supporters, they are really expected to see Manchester United, at least in this day and age, qualify for the top four. But with Leicester, Man City and Liverpool leading the way, that fourth spot was really up for grabs for Manchester United, and they were falling behind to clubs like Chelsea during the period before Bruno Fernandes was introduced to the Old Trafford faithful. Now, while looking at the numbers specifically pre-Fernandes, Manchester United played 24 matches and only won 9 of those. Their win percentage was 37.5% and their points per game was 1.41. Now, this really is not an acceptable statistic for a team like Manchester United, who had to be winning more matches. If you don't win matches, you won't be at the top of the table, and that is not rocket science. So why were they performing so poorly? Well, there were 3 main problems with Manchester United and their squad before Bruno Fernandes was introduced. And those 3 problems were: 1, a lack of ability to create or to break down teams in the final third, and obviously a lack of creativity that they saw in the final third because of that inability to break down teams. Number 2, the midfield was unbalanced. With Pogba out injured, Scott McTominay and Fred were asked to do a lot of the heavy grafting in the midfield, where there really wasn't much balance between the attack and the defense, and there wasn't a very strong connector in the attacking midfield position who could really create a lot of chances for Manchester United. And 3, which is to no surprise, is injuries. Manchester United were dealing with a lot of different injuries throughout the time before Bruno Fernandes taking his place in the Manchester United squad. You had Marcus Rashford and Paul Pogba out injured, which are probably 2 of the most notable players in the Manchester United squad. Now, with Bruno Fernandes being introduced, those 3 issues that we just talked about pre-Fernandes' arrival are truly addressed, and the next 3 points that I'm going to be laying out to you are going to be explained to you in a tactical fashion, where you're going to see how Ole utilizes Bruno Fernandes in order to create the perfect missing piece of the puzzle for his tactics. So those 3 main areas where Bruno Fernandes really influenced and had the Bruno effect for Manchester United are: number 1, being able to find the half space on the pitch; 2, creating a balance in the midfield; and 3, having more effective attacking patterns for Manchester United as they look to utilize their strengths of their key players. So the first piece of tactical analysis that we're going to do is address the first point of the Bruno effect, which is the ability to find the half spaces for Manchester United. Now, as you can see on the tactical board of our starting 11 for Manchester United, you had Marcus Rashford, you had Anthony Martial, you have Mason Greenwood, Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, Nemanja Matic, Brandon Williams or Luke Shaw, depending on who Ole would start that day, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, with, of course, David De Gea in goal. Now, Manchester United would start in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 formation, depending on how you wanted to view it, but all these tactics, in order to find the half spaces, would truly be able to be implemented once Bruno was able to arrive and start creating for Manchester United in that true attacking role where he could support the dangerous front three that Manchester United produced this season. The front three scored over 50 goals in the Premier League for Manchester United, or in all competitions, and this is a truly incredible number that couldn't have happened without Bruno's presence in that attacking midfield position. But as we can see, Ole started to utilize his midfield very differently once Bruno was introduced, and the reason is because Bruno needed space, and Paul Pogba was also another key player that was added into this midfield where Matic could really be the facilitator of passes, while Pogba and Bruno Fernandes could utilize space in the midfield in order to get the ball to the attacking players. So what Ole did when building up possession was he would drop Nemanja Matic back into the middle of the centre backs while trying to build up the play. So what that would do was take one of the midfielders out of the main midfield area. It would allow a lot of time on the ball for Nemanja Matic in order to pick out passes and really start to move the play forward. He had Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof on either side of him, allowing for a lot of defensive cover if a mistake was to be made. Now, what this meant for the midfield was that Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes had so much more space. With Matic being taken out of the midfield, they had the freedom to move around, to find these pockets of spaces that they were able to then get the ball, exploit, turn, and make a progressive pass. Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba almost led the lead in progressive passes per 90 minutes in the Premier League this season, and that is because whenever they got the ball, they had a lot of time and a lot of space in order to create, which is what Manchester United wanted. So Nemanja Matic would be in the perfect position to create these diagonal passes into the half space. Now the half space is that pocket of space just inside of the outside channel, but not in the center of the pitch, and that is a very dangerous area for a lot of teams. If they go unmarked in the half space, what can happen is Bruno Fernandes can take the ball, and either the left back or the left center back or maybe a potential midfielder has to come in and close him down, but by then he already has the time and space and he's figured out the angles in order to create a very game-changing pass. So this really allowed Manchester United's key players, Bruno and Pogba, to find extra space, extra time on the ball in order to create more chances. Another way Bruno Fernandes' introduction to Manchester United's starting 11 really changed the way Manchester United played was they were able to create a balance in the midfield. As explained in the first point, we had Matic, Pogba, and Bruno Fernandes in the midfield, and those three players created a very, very nice combination, which was completely different to what McTominay, Fred, and potentially Jesse Lingard or Juan Mata could offer, or Andreas Pereira could offer Manchester United going forward before Bruno Fernandes' arrival and Pogba's return from injury. We had Nemanja Matic, who is very capable of being a defensive presence and facilitator, with Paul Pogba being sort of an 8-10 hybrid, or truly a world-class player where he can play or do anything in the midfield to a very high level, and of course the attacking creativity in Bruno Fernandes. Now what this balanced midfield allowed was a more connection between the defensive players, the midfield, and the attack, making a cohesive unit. So in the tactical analysis next to me, what we can see is kind of these attacking formations and how Manchester United plan to attack change when those three midfielders were introduced and started playing game after game, match after match for Manchester United. What would happen, because Matic was sitting in between the back two, that almost formed a back three, which allowed Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Brandon Williams to push up the pitch on the wing, providing attacking width. Now this was brilliant from Ole, because what this meant was that they could be really involved in the build-up play and possibly get crosses into the box. But what Ole knew was that crosses into the box isn't Manchester United's strengths, and that's something that was changed before Fernandes to after Fernandes. He wanted to play through the middle of the pitch, but in order to do that, he needed the width to make sure that Manchester United had enough space and danger both throughout wide and in the middle of the pitch in order to succeed. So by having Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw on the wings, this meant that Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood would pinch in naturally. And when the wingers would pinch in, they're less focused on crossing the ball and they're more focused on tight interplay in and around the box. So this leads to the last point of how Bruno Fernandes was truly transformational, is the ability to create more attacking, creative patterns of play in the middle of the pitch. And this is the beauty of Ollie's tactics, is that it was all linking together so fluidly, and the way this tactical analysis comes together truly does show kind of the ability for just one player to affect the match so much in many different ways. So when Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood would pinch in and the wingers or the wingbacks are out wide, this allows for 4 attacking players to be concentrated around the top of the 18-yard box, which would cause major problems for defensive teams. So Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford would be far more dangerous, considering that they were able to be in more attacking, shooting positions, and we saw this, the true emergence of Mason Greenwood in the way he scored goal after goal from outside the box and was truly transformational. Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial scoring for fun, although Marcus Rashford's record sort of dipped after Project Restart. But this also allowed Bruno Fernandes to be in the mix and have many attacking, passing options very close to him, which would allow for quick link-up of interplay. Now, another key reason that this was so important for Manchester United is because Anthony Martial's key strength is his close control, his tight dribbling. Of course, he has a great goal-scoring record, but Anthony Martial is not the type of player who's going to be receiving crosses and scoring headers, bringing the ball down and turning a defender and scoring. His tight control in tight areas and his quick thinking and ability to play in and around areas where there's multiple different bodies is where he truly makes a difference. So by having Rashford and Greenwood, Martial and Bruno all in this tight area, it is creating so many attacking patterns and possibilities for Manchester United. Now this leads to where Paul Pogba comes into the equation, and it was perfect for him because in taking a lot of the almost pressure from Paul Pogba to create and allow him to do what he does best, which is to create from deeper, facilitate play. Just sit behind Bruno Fernandes and he can still get involved in the quick interplay that we saw around the top of the box, but he is able to facilitate. So these are the 3 reasons as to why just introducing Bruno Fernandes into the starting 11 is extremely transformational. The beauty of the tactics is it's not Bruno Fernandes doing everything, although he definitely, when he performs well, Manchester United definitely get better results, and of course they haven't been beaten in the Premier League since his arrival. Bruno just adds a missing piece to the puzzle for Manchester United. He was the piece of the puzzle that needed to come to the club in order for everyone else to start playing at the level that they needed to play at. Paul Pogba was allowed to have more freedom on the pitch and take a lot of the creative pressure off of him, and the midfield truly began to be more balanced. There was more attacking patterns that were possible because of Bruno Fernandes' introduction, and just the ability to find the half spaces in order to create more goals. Let's not forget to include the incredible defensive record that Manchester United went on after Bruno Fernandes was introduced, in the way that they weren't able to lose matches or concede as many goals. And although the defense was the same, that also has a huge impact from Bruno Fernandes, even though he's not exactly a key defensive player. Again, stressing the balance of the midfield was truly transformational for Manchester United. So I really hope that this tactical analysis was able to give you some insights into how Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United have been thinking tactically, and how the Bruno effect truly is real. As I said earlier in the video, please give us your opinions. At 12th Man, we always value our viewers' opinions. We'd love to hear more about what you think I talked about, as well as what you think Manchester United could do differently or could do better, or just your general opinion, yes or no. Is the Bruno effect real? So thank you all so much for your time, and have a good one.